Hey everyone, welcome to this revision video on memory, specifically the factors that affect the accuracy of memory. This video is going to run through the three key factors that you need to know about that affect the accuracy of memory, and they are interference, context, and false memories. We are going to quickly talk about how you could design some simple research into these factors, because the exam sometimes asks us to do that. And we're also going to have a little look at making sure we have some simple evaluations so we can evaluate the research into these factors if the exam asks us to do that. So we'll start with defining the three factors that affect the accuracy of memory. You've got interference. So interference is quite simple. It's when one memory blocks another, causing the forgetting or the distortion of the memory. So it could be like memories mixing together. One memory's come in and it's blocked the other one. It could be like two memories mixing together a bit. It is basically what it says on the tin, one memory interfering with another. You just can't use the word interfere in your definition. So it might be, an example could be, if you've just got you've moved into a new house and you've got a new address, and somebody says to you, but what's your old address? And your memory kind of fails to remember because your new address is too busy blocking your old address, so you can't remember. It's the same with phone numbers. If you get a new phone number, it might block, your new phone number might block your old one. If someone goes, well, what was your old one? What was it again? That new phone number could be blocking it. It works the other way around as well. So that old information might be really powerful. So your old address might be too powerful. Someone says, what's your new postcode? And you can't remember because you can only remember your old postcode. So in this case, it's the old memory that's blocking the new one. The second factor that affects our memory accuracy is context. Context refers to the setting, the location, or the environment where something happens. And what tends to happen is if we change location, we forget the memory. It's that classic situation where you sat in your bedroom, you have a brain idea, and you want to go and talk to your friend or your family member. You throw your phone down, you run downstairs, and they go, yeah, what do you want? And you literally go, oh God, I can't remember. Can't remember what I came downstairs for. You walk back upstairs, you go straight back into your bedroom, and massive light bulb, the memory just reappears. For some reason, when we change location, we often forget things. And finally, it's false memories is the third factor that affects the accuracy of our memory. And quite simply, false memories are things that we think happened, but they never actually did. Quite bizarre. We'll have a little look as to why that happens in a moment. So for each of those factors that affects our memory accuracy, we just need to be able to explain how it happens, what's going on psychologically. So for interference, again, it's quite simple, this one. It's the idea that your new learning or a new memory is coming in and it's pushing out the old one, it's blocking the old one, or vice versa. Your new memory is coming in, but the old memory is too strong and it pushes it away, and you go, no, too strong, I'm not going to let that new learning come and stick in the brain. Context is a little bit more complex, and it's the idea. The idea is that when you encode a memory, so when you make the memory to start with, these memories often attach to the location that we are at when we are encoding them. So what happens is when we swap location or change context, that memory link breaks, and we can't then seem to access that memory because it's reliant on that link. So that's what's going on with the whole context situation. And finally, how do false memories occur? Well, false memories are things that are often implanted in our brain, which makes us think that they really did genuinely happen. And the main way that happens is just through repetition. So if someone keeps saying something over and over again, eventually that repetition will just lead to you believing genuinely that it happened. So that's the simplest way to explain those three factors that affect our accuracy of memory for the exam. And the second thing you could get asked is to design research into one of those key factors. More than likely interference, more than likely context. So I'll just put some examples here. So when you're designing research, obviously it's really important to remember to have your two conditions, and you've got to make it really clear that within those conditions only one thing is different. That's always going to be our independent variable. And everything else we've got to try our best when we design it to keep it the same. So let's keep these really simple. If we have to design one of these studies in the exam, let's keep it simple like this. So you're going to have two conditions, two groups. They're both going to learn a list of word pairs, and then one of them is going to learn a second list of word pairs. And then you're just going to ask them both to recall as many as they can from the first list. That's quite simple. The idea being that the group that has to learn two lists, they should have some form of interference affecting their memory, and they should struggle to remember the first list because that second list should be somewhat interfering. So our expected results would be that the participants that only learn one list of word pairs will recall more word pairs from that list compared to the group that had to learn two lists of word pairs. So that's a really simple way of designing some interference research. We do the same for context. The official study that we covered in class was a bit more complicated or a bit more extravagant with the whole beach and the water and the divers. But if we're really keeping it simple, again, let's have two groups. Let's just change the context once. So let's get both of these groups to learn a list of words in a classroom. Let's leave one of them in the classroom to recall as many as they can. Let's take the other group outside and let's get them to recall as many as they can in the playground. You've got one group staying in the same context, one group changing context. Nice and easy, nice and simple. It makes it easy for the examiner to give you the marks if you keep it simple and not too complicated. And then your expected results, quite simple, quite easy. If they stayed in the same location, they're going to recall more words. If they change location, they're going to struggle to recall the words because that link to the environment, to the context, has been broken. So let's keep it simple for the exam. Okay, so in the past they have asked a question along the lines of evaluate research into the factors that affect memory. So that does require you to have some sort of understanding of what psychologists have actually done. And most of the research is all done in the lab. So we have, general interference research is all done in the lab study. It's highly controlled. The context study that we designed would have been a lab study, but the one that was more famously done by Godden and Badley was the beach one with the divers. And the false memory study was the shopping mall study, which was again a lab study, but it had some traumatic sort of ethical problems with it in terms of implanting false memories. So all of these research have sort of like a general theme. They are typically lab studies, so you can criticize their ecological validity. They're mostly quite well controlled, so you can put that as a positive, or you can focus in on, for example, the context divers study, and you can talk about how the sample of divers is quite ungeneralizable because they're quite intelligent people, and it doesn't necessarily generalize to everybody else. So that's a bit of a negative, that the sample isn't very broad. Or you could focus in on the false memories, and you could say how implanting a false memory in somebody's brain could be quite ethical, could break ethics in terms of like psychological harm. It could potentially be quite traumatic to someone to bring up memories from their past. So there's a few problems there with the research into these factors. Keep it simple, and the marks are really easy. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this video on the factors that affect the accuracy of memory. We've talked about the key three ideas: interference, context, and false memories. And we've had a little look at how to design some real simple research. And we've also talked about some general evaluations that you could use if they bring that up in the exam. Till the next video, see you later.